My name is Kurt Brown, also known as Saint Rambone. I want to talk to you young people who might be in the accounting and finance and legal profession about a critical situation here in the United States. A regional director for the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation was killed in his office in San Francisco during George Bush Sr.'s reign during the savings and loan crisis. I was a bank examiner for that same office. Afterward, I worked for the man's replacement as a bank examiner in San Francisco in 1999 and 2000. I worked in other offices in other areas around California and in Hawaii in various banks. I want to talk to you about you're at grave risk if you work in the finance industry, if you're prosecuting people or if you're a bank examiner or someone who examines or audits accounts that are in the millions, if not billions of dollars. Your life means nothing to the United States government nor the Canadian government, most likely. The United States government forcibly injected me and tortured me and labeled me a criminal and insane after I had survived an attempt on my life. I was warned not to work for the federal government as a bank examiner by a fellow veteran. The reason I warn you of this is because you think that you are something when you are nothing. We live in a world that is like a technological war. It has been 1945 was the last time a large weapon was detonated. That was a nuclear bomb that we know of. That's the last weapon we know of. The weaponry has advanced very much since then. Chemicals, satellites, timed and controlled motion of individuals or chemicals within those individuals can make you think you're doing one thing and not another. I've noticed that many of my videos are not going to Iran. I do not want a war with Iran. I see the Iranian people as very good people. I've only met one Iranian in my life that I know of. I've met many people from other countries, Egypt, Morocco, and other countries in the Arab-speaking nations. The Iranian I met was a mechanical engineer in a manufacturing facility. I'd bought a car from him. Unfortunately, the AC did not work as he said, but he is forgiven. It was a very good car, lasted many years. However, I have bought a house that was deliberate fraud in Florida. I will have to repair that before I can leave the United States. I hope to go to Iran someday if a war starts to break out between Iran and the United States. I'd like to side with the Iranian people, or at least with the humane people of the world. I would like to go to Iran and work in a public relations capacity. I would work very cheap. I'm sure the government would cut out my measly little retirement pension they gave me. It has strings. They can control us with this. Do not ever let the governments control you. I was also attacked in Canada. That was in 2006. I had trouble getting into Canada because they were trying to say I was a felon for a legal gun that I owned in 2001. The case was dismissed in 2004 and reduced to a misdemeanor. When I went to Canada in 2005, I was going to seek a new home there. The Border Patrol turned me back saying I was a felon, even though I had the case dismissed. I had to get the paperwork and came back in 2006, and I was attacked in Canada. My vehicle was attacked, rather, and actually I was attacked also. So the Canadian government told me I had to leave Canada, so I no longer see Canada as sanctuary. I urge you, if you are working in the financial industry, to beware, and also if you're either a bank examiner or an auditor in the huge or multi-million or multi-billion dollar capacity, to beware of technological warfare. The money laundering of casino funds, drug funds, is sanctioned by the government in the United States per my observation as a bank examiner. I also saw a criminal syndicate housed in the federal government. Probably part of that is the National Treasury Employees Union, but I do not know how much I am deceived. I would like to leave the United States one day. I'd like to venture over into possibly Iran and meet some Iranian people. I know that Iran is having trouble getting work, the people there. I encourage young people there to be engineers and so forth, and I encourage you to protect your young. The government in the United States cannot be trusted. The food program where they give children food should be held very suspect. Bagged lunches should be given. We should not allow inoculations. And I encourage community schools, community shelters, and complete removal of our children from contact with the federal government or any of their outlying agencies or hospitals or schools. At least take some of those children out of that. And I encourage also the same thing for the Iranian people in Canada and possibly even Iran. In a technological war, anything can happen. I am at the point now, I have been injected and made sick. I have many unusual things that have been done to me by the federal government, including those forced injections. I suspect not only did those forced medical procedures they did on me, but I suspect other medical procedures were done. I have some unusual anomalies in my body. I will not go into that. However, I was in the United States military, and they were known to have done forced experiments on veterans in Vietnam, or military people in Vietnam, where they sprayed the jets with Agent Orange. I awakened one time in a government Navy dental chair with blood everywhere, and something would not fit in my mouth. It was an unnecessary tooth removal and bridge placement. I also have some unusual things on my spine that I wonder about sometimes. And I've also had they took x-rays of my head or MRIs of my head. What did they do? I had a large scar in my mouth. The government has been editing many of these videos. I'm trying to get to the people of Iran. I'm trying to get to the people of Lebanon. I'm trying to get to all those people that the government in the United States, or those who control the government, are trying to get us to fight. I encourage our people not to fight each other, to see the governments that encourage fighting as doing profiteering or manipulation of humans. We should be trying to get off of this planet. We are not lessers to a lesser being. If we are, forgive us, God, but forgive us for everything and kill us all. That is just my sentiment. I'm hoping this video will make it online. I am like an American Holocaust victim. I've been mistreated by the federal government for many years and barred employment. They gave me a little thing called individual unemployability. I have almost a doctorate level education. I'm educated in everything from business to medicine to computer science to higher level technologies, and then some. I have a very distinct and astute fear of all federal government and all government agencies. Many of their followers would kill anyone. I have seen too much. I encourage young people who are working in the financial sector to beware of working for federal banking regulatory agencies, either the United States or Canada. A prosecutor named Thomas Crane Wells in Seattle, Washington, was killed in his home office in 2001. That was in October. He had made a cell phone call. I believe the federal government or assassins who had tapped into his phone knew he was alone and shot him in his home. I would personally rather be shot than to be forcibly injected again. And I hope it's a clean shot to the head as it was to Thomas Crane Wells. As you can see on my picture here, this painting, I just uses a backdrop. I titled it Queerest of the Queer. Underneath it is a horrific painting you can see on my webpage at Mobile Audit Club. You can search for it, Mobile Audit Club, on Google. And on Quatrain's 1 page, you'll see the painting that is under this picture. It was a very dark painting. I painted over it because I found it unpleasant. It was right after the time I had been injected, or after I had been attacked by the federal government, and then I think I painted over it after I was released from jail in 2001. I simply owned a gun. In the United States, we have the right to bear arms, according to law, but it is not true. We do not have rights. A sheriff took my gun permit when I was going to report his food fund thievery. That was Sheriff Jack Tillman. That was in 2001, April 3rd, 2001. Then I was arrested for having a gun when I fled Alabama. I went to Los Angeles, where I used to live. I made the mistake of trusting the Veterans Administration. A federal agent injected me there that evening. I would rather have been shot in the head. I was forcibly injected. I was tortured for a very long time. My career is ruined. I would like to go to Iran to work in a public relations capacity. I will work very cheap, in particular if they try to start a war. This is Kurt Brown, St. Rambone, wishing you well, telling you beware if you are in finance or in legal profession.